Welcome to the Attack of the Killer Podcast Part 2, the sequel. This podcast is just like the original, except on this one we only talk about kung fu movies. And we record in front of a live studio audience. And there's now 27 hosts on the show. And we only speak in Pig Latin. See, just like the original. Well, I take that back. It's nothing like the first one. Just like how some movie sequels are nothing like the originals. Huh? You like that segue? Yeah? Huh? Sequels that are not sequels on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. But this episode is completely different than all previous shows. That's not true. It's just the same old, same old. What I'm just trying to make a point is that this episode is about sequels that are not really sequels to the original film. Those horror movie sequels that you are so excited to watch to get more of the crazy antics of your favorite psychopath, only to find a movie about a man who does racist impersonations and makes toys that kill people. Attack of the Killer Podcast is a horror movie podcast where a group of friends, we get together with a topic and we discuss films within that topic. Now, we're all just friends hanging out talking, so there may be spoilers. Consider yourself warned. If you like what you hear, I would like to invite you to become an attacker. An attacker helps support the show and you get to become part of the Attack of the Killer Podcast family. For your support, you can get all kinds of amazing perks from bonus episodes made just for the attackers, early access to the main show to make all your friends jealous. You get our YouTube shows like video updates, Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 lists, killer critiques. There are various items such as t-shirts, stickers, membership cards, membership certificate, a playlist of all the Attack of the Killer podcast music, even original art by me called Mikey's Monsters. You can also get exclusive invitations to our monthly horror hangout, watch parties, and even our chat called Attack of the Killer Chat. You get a chance to ask a question for a topic for a future bonus episode. You get to pick a movie for us to talk about in our Patreon Picks episodes. All that and so much more. Well, actually, just one more thing. It's probably the best one, though. The best perk ever. Getting a shout-out on the show and the website. Just like these amazing attackers.
That's right. Like Timothy Lederer, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett J. Royer. Wonder what the J stands for. Mike? You don't know any words. We got Seth Key. I'll come back to you. Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godzilla, Stephen Sitter, Brandy Moore, and you got one. Andrew Moeller, Hot Rod Hutchison, Carmen DeHague, Abraham Moreno, Jacob Book, Andrew Bantler, Casey Kelderman, Tony the Hot Dog Miller. I'm just making stuff up. Mike Clayton, Rose Teleshoma, Marcus Rude, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Emily Randolph, Bill Fisher, Greg Diedrich, and Brett J. Royer. J stands for
Jacktastic.
And that is a heck of a list. You can be on that list.
That's right. To become part of that amazing group.
Your name can be made fun of live on air.
Just go to jointheattackers.com. Pick the tier you wish that you wish to pick.
Yeah.
And become part of the Attack of the Killer podcast family. Need that website again? Fine, write it down this time. I hate repeating myself. That's jointheattackers.com. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He thought he was watching a sequel to the movie Jaws, where the shark throws up people until they open up a beach. Turns out he was just watching the original movie backwards. Jason!
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into our funny little show.
He thinks the next Lord of the Rings sequel starring Bruce Willis is going to stray from the franchise, especially with the new title. It's called Old Hobbits Die Hard. Tad.
It's too soon to make Bruce Willis jokes, man.
I didn't say anything like about him being bald.
Okay.
It's true. It's true.
All right, and
Andy's on assignment.
that's right. He is not with us for this episode, and we miss him.
We do.
We do. And speaking of missing him, let's turn it over to Tad for what we watched.
Well, we're coming off of a holiday weekend. It might have been a long weekend for you guys. It was for me. I had 4 days off, so I got some stuff watched.
Nice.
But Jason, what did you watch?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I have not seen any movies since the last time I recorded, and even after the last time, you reminded me of one. One that I want to talk about. Anyway, but I have been watching. I've been watching series is more, and according to my list here, it's all Apple TV. So I've been watching the psychological thriller. I said it. I'll just say it. It's called The Crowded Room. In Manhattan in the summer of 1979. So it's a cool little period series. A young man is arrested for a shocking crime, and an unlikely investigator must solve the mystery behind it before the true criminal strikes again. And it stars Tom Holland, our Spidey Man, and Amanda Seyfried, gorgeous. And so that's all you need to know. And she's the investigator, and it's pretty fun to watch Tom Holland do acting. That's not Spider-Man.
I
He's
think
great.
he said it took like such a huge toll on him. He has to take a break from acting.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, he's great. I mean, he's got like the stupidest haircut I've ever seen, but he has to. Anyway, he's fucking awesome in it. He's really great, and definitely worth watching that. The Crowded Room. It's still not quite through the first season yet, but it's great. And then I kind of plowed through this other one. It's called The Big Door Prize, and it stars Chris O'Dowd. Everybody loves Chris O'Dowd, right? He's so great. Chris O'Dowd. You'll know as soon as you see him.
Okay.
But this show is so fucking weird and cool. A small town is forever changed when a mysterious machine appears, promising to reveal everyone's true potential. Soon residents start changing jobs, rethinking relationships, and questioning long-held beliefs. And it's fucking great because it's quite the thinker. It really gets in there and makes you think about your potential and just life and all the big questions. And so I love it for that. Chris O'Dowd, you love him.
I know who you're talking about. He's an Irish guy. Pretty funny.
Super funny dude, and he definitely carries the whole thing. He's great. And then lastly, again, I just blasted through this series because I saw that season 2 is going to start real soon in the next week or so. It's nothing anyone who's listening to this will even like, but I love it. And it's called Foundation, and it's based on Isaac Asimov's works. So it's super sci-fi, a complex saga of humans scattered on planets throughout the galaxy, all living under the rule of the Galactic Empire. Dr. Harry Seldon and his loyal followers attempt to preserve their culture as the galaxy collapses around them. And it stars Jared Harris. He's one of the main dudes. He plays the Harry Seldon, but and then a bunch of other people I don't really know, but those other people are super compelling, and it's great. It's a neat mix of Star Wars and Star Trek, and super fucking super sci-fi, and the biggest and deepest questions, knowing like that everything is going to collapse, knowing like the main character is so stupid. That's why I love it. He maths so hard that he can figure out the future. That's just how hard he mathed. And so anyway, it's a really great show. I'm super excited to season 2 is coming soon. But that's what I watched. Cool stuff, right? What about you?
Yeah.
Mike?
Oh.
I just took over hosting duties right there.
That's fine.
I just wanted out of this segment so bad because I'm like I'm naming shit stuff that no one's ever gonna.
Now you know how I feel.
Like
every
Mike's
week where I'm
tuned
like,
out so hard over there. He's like,
I was listening.
heck yeah. I'm sure everyone was. I'm sorry if we lost listeners on that little segment. Hurry up and get out of it, Mike. What did you watch?
Okay.
Cool stuff.
I only got around to watching one thing. Well, that's not true. Righteous Gemstones season 3 started, so I'm excited about that. Been watching that. It's off with an amazing banger. It's so funny, so good. But the one I will talk about is the one movie I got a chance to watch over the past couple weeks, and that is I finally got around to watching Evil Dead Rise.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
It's awesome.
hell yeah.
What's
very
your
awesome.
What's your favorite part? Spoiler free part.
Like the Deadites doing things.
Right?
Yeah, what was my favorite part?
I will answer that question for myself.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to
I,
answer it for me. Like,
No,
that's
my
what-
favorite is I just love the sequence of him like opening the Book of the Dead and hearing that old record. Something about that, like having it on vinyl and like
Yeah, it's kind of
that-
cool.
It's just that kid, like that whole scene is just like wicked. It like gave me like goosebumps, like
Yeah.
the wind picking up, and that was just like a cool sort of modern take on the old Evil Dead legend.
Yeah, and I might have zoned out a bit there for a second or whatever because I'm watching him spin the record, and my first part of my brain goes instantly to thinking that he's backmasking, and I'm like, and I've seen it in movies before. I think Trick or Treat did it, where they put the needle at the beginning of the record and then spin it backwards. I'm like, that's not how records work. And then it dawned on me. It's like, oh yeah, it was going too slow a second ago, so he's speeding it up. He can't. So he wasn't trying to backmask, so it made sense. I don't know, like I love the concept of the Deadites morphing into one blob of human arms and legs and heads. That was cool.
Like a weird, monster thing.
Yeah. And the cringiest moment, which I always love that stuff, is the cheese grater. Yeah.
Yep, I knew it.
That made Brandy wince, and it was awesome.
But we've thought it for years, and then we saw it, and it was like, yep, that's
yeah.
why we thought it. Oh, God.
But dang it, like,
I just love the lead girl. I mean, besides her being beautiful, but like she's mesmerizing when she turned. Like her fucking face was just like fucking scary as fuck.
The mom?
The mom.
yeah, she did good. She did
was
good.
awesome.
Evil Possessed. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. But it was heartstringy because, like, I mean, all the films. I guess. Do you really get invested in like?
Sure. The love story, the family.
Anybody but Ash, like
Right.
Ash, of course you care about, but
I thought this is the first time we've had like anyone under like 18 in a movie, in an Evil Dead movie.
That's
So
true.
this was I thought that was a good
Changed it,
change of pace. Spoilers, anyone listening that hasn't seen it, why are you listening to us? Go watch it. But I love the idea of like kicking off with like a wild, crazy scene that does, and then circle back around to the end, where I thought that was cool.
that was neat. Yeah,
But it's setting it in a more urban environment, in a giant, complex. That was cool.
in a high rise, maybe.
Yeah. I really dig it, man. Like, I just love that we have these, like, sort of standalone sequels. Like, you could show this to Simon, and he doesn't have to watch the original Evil Dead or anything, and he could just enjoy it for what it is. And, like,
Reboot too,
it did very well in theaters. This was supposed to go straight to HBO Max. It tested so well, they decided to put it in theaters, and it made buckets and buckets
I
of
was gonna say,
money.
it did really, really well.
Yeah, so congrats to Sam and Bruce and everybody back there, doing this thing and finding ways to still make money out of this franchise. And I love that they're taking young filmmakers and like making, like, letting them do this, and then they're going to move on and do great things in their careers, and really cool.
Yeah, very cool. But yeah, and I think maybe because it was a couple of the kids that became deadites
Yeah.
as well. That why it pulled on the heartstrings, because it's like, you know, I'm definitely past the age of like you know, kids getting killed in films affecting me. You know, I'm back to my teenage years of like, yeah, bring it on, you know. But this was even more, because it's like, okay, so you know they're possessed, so there's no point of no return. But the only way but we also all know the only way to stop these things is to completely destroy the host body completely, like turn it into mush. And so now you're having to see the kids go through even more chaos and mayhem
Goddamn
and
wood chipper.
carnage. Yeah, exactly.
Literally go through a wood chipper. So.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, yeah, Evil Dead Rise definitely lived up to the hype. But that is all I got to watch. So, Jason.
Okay, so as host of this segment, Ted, what have you been watching, pal?
Yeah. I'm surprised you guys. I've watched more than you guys, but I guess it's because I've been able to put stuff on while I'm working at home, and been mostly for the staying home and getting stuff done, but being, I don't know, watching movies. So I, of course, a yearly watch, got to see Jaws on the big screen at the Capitol. Just great to see it in a packed theater. We had like 100 people there, which is awesome. To get people out on a Saturday night to see Jaws, a movie that was made in 1975, you know, how fucking cool was that? I saw Wes Anderson's new movie, Asteroid City, in theaters. I know.
How was it?
It's okay. I liked it. I don't know, man. I just feel like I still haven't seen The French Dispatch. I felt like I have to be in the mood, and I'm just at this point. I felt like this one definitely, Wes Anderson fully has his own head up his own ass. Like it almost feels like a parody of one of his
I
movies.
was just gonna think those words.
It's so thick on where it's like,
wow.
this is
On his style is just
it's so thick in this
absurd.
movie that it's like, it's almost visually like it hurts. Like it's like having a candy bar's good, 12 candy bars is too much. And this is like, you know, 12 candy bars on top of an ice cream sundae. It's like, we get it, man. We get it. You're quirky and this is weird, and you can get any actor you want in the world to do your weird shit. It definitely felt like substance or style over substance, where it was like, visually this is really cool, but the story is like, is it really this simple? Is there something more to it? No, it's just a way for him to like make a movie in the desert, which is fine. It's cool. It's if you like Wes Anderson stuff.
But the story
I
you're
didn't love
saying
it.
is not.
Yeah. It's so simple, and it's just sort of like, which is not necessarily always bad. It's just like Nikki is almost like, did I miss something? I'm like, no, it's really just,
That was
there's
it.
there's no more meaning to it. It's just like him finding the humor in simple things, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was okay. And then of course did my annual Return of the Living Dead watch on the 3rd, and got to introduce it to Nikki.
How'd
So
she
that's
do?
fun. She enjoyed it.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
she
good.
Hell yeah.
she did the thing where she predicted every scene before it happened. You know, the smoke's gonna go out and it's gonna rain, and all the zombies in the graveyard are gonna come out, and the dog is gonna come back to life. You know, the half dog.
Right,
And,
this Nikki?
yeah, but it wasn't like she was saying it was bad. She just was like, you know, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
And then I watched.
Did she predict the end?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Take that, Nikki.
Yeah. And then I watched The Bear. Yeah, season 2. Did I talk about this last episode?
No.
Have you guys
You
aware
just told me
of
you
The
were
Bear?
going to go watch it the other day, and I'm like, oh, I better look at
The
it.
Bear is so fucking good, guys, on Hulu.
What's so good about it?
It's so emotional. It's really fantastically written and acted, and the music. There's a Christmas episode this season, which is a flashback to like the origin story of our lead character. It flashes back to why he's sort of fucked up, and it really was painful to watch. Not only because of the show can have this saying where if you haven't seen it, a basic premise is this guy who's played by I forget the actor's name. Sorry, something whatever. But he played Lip on Shameless, the U.S. version. He is like a Michelin star, like 5-star chef, and his brother owns an Italian beef restaurant in grimy downtown Chicago. His brother kills himself. He has to come back and help run the restaurant. That's the first season. Second season, he's trying to turn the beef restaurant into a like high class 5-star restaurant himself. And the stress of this is it's probably not good to watch while you're planning a film festival, but maybe a little relatable. But the episodes are so high anxiety. Like the Christmas one is like in real time, and it has the fucking most stacked cast I've ever seen in like an episode of television. They must have called every fucking favor. I guess the creators are just like, everybody wants to work for these guys, because they had Bob Odenkirk, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Mulaney, Sarah Paulson. What's his name from that played the Punisher, the newest Punisher? Berthol, John Berthol.
Yeah.
All just in one episode, and all in one house, and it just like it really fucking hit hard, and I had to just like sit down for a while.
So it's more than just a show for foodies? 'Cause
Absolutely,
that's my first thought when I just looked at it after you told me you're going to
not
watch
at
it.
all about. No, it's more about
It's just
people.
a drama show, and
Yeah, and
happens
but it's not all like. Don't let me talk you out of it by saying like it's stressful, because there's episodes that are lighthearted and really are fantastic, and it's all written very well. But it is the heaviest shit sometimes too. So I highly recommend that. It's only half-hour episodes, so that's good. You can binge it really quick. And I think that's all that I watched besides a lot of Food Network.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we should probably get into the topic, guys. How does it happen when a movie has a sequel and has nothing to do with the original? Were the filmmakers just out of ideas? Was it a way to cash in on the previous success of that title? There are so many sequels that stray from their respective franchises, and we're going to cover a few different examples. Tad, what's our first film we're going to talk about?
Our first film is House 2, The Second Story.
Last year, audiences everywhere thrilled to a terrifying film about the horrors of home ownership. House. Now, there's an all-new house
It's like you got some kind of alternate universe in there or something.
with brand new owners.
Charlie. Huh? Got it.
And it's getting weirder.
Look, it's a prehistoric bird.
I got you, Jeff! I've seen enough tragedy and disaster to make you want to upchuck in your shorts.
Two friends inherit a fantastic house
Charlie, there's a jungle in there.
and a 170-year-old mummy.
Surprise!
Who is this?
You can call me Gramps.
Now, they're in for more trouble than they ever imagined.
You're gonna kick the door open, run in there blindly, and I'll cover you, okay? Guy with the big gun goes first.
House 2, the second story.
This place gives me the creeps.
The new owner of a sinister house gets involved with reanimated corpses and demons searching for an ancient Aztec skull with magic powers. Yes, that is the description of this movie. This is one this is the first time watch for me somehow. I think I watched the first house on this show for the first time. What the fuck, guys?
This whole series.
Yeah, this is a great choice for this topic. A sequel that's not a sequel, but sort of has ties.
There's a
where
tie,
it's like,
but
yeah. The
Wait,
poster
what's the
art.
tie?
the girl,
We have a Cheers castmate in it.
There's 3 ties I've discovered. One that takes place in the house, which is not even the same house. that there's a Cheers cast member in it, and the music is completely recycled from the first film.
Now, I think the girl that survives at the end of the first one, or it's her little sister, is the girl in this. So it's literally.
I don't know.
I think that's what it was.
But
There's
I remember
Straight
seeing
cast. Yeah.
and the posters tie together more than the movies.
Right, that actually does.
Yeah.
The posters are memorable from when I was a kid walking through the horror section, seeing the hand, at the door.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a fucking blast. It's not at all a good movie,
Nope.
but it does not let off the gas pedal from the beginning. I'm like, why do I like this so much? Oh, because they're just using New Blood's Friday the 13th, the New Blood's music. The whole score is just Harry Manfredini just phoning it in, recycling the score from a Friday the 13th movie, which I'm cool with. Lots of weird monsters and animals and creatures. We have a reanimated grandpa who's like an old Western cowboy. But he's very charming, but he's also a zombie, like not quite a zombie. What would you even call him? A ghoul? I don't know. Resurrected thing.
Undead.
What just a strange movie. Written by Fred Decker, directed by Ethan Wiley, and written also by Ethan Wiley. There's a weird crystal skull. There's a reanimated grandpa. Demons crossing the gateways in the house. There's a jungle in the kitchen. I don't know, guys. This is so weird. I don't know what to say.
There's a
But
Kane Hodder gorilla.
it is so much fun though. Like I couldn't stop smiling watching this. Going, I can't wait to. I wanted to message you guys and be like, holy shit! But I'm like, well, we're gonna talk about it, Tad. So this is fun.
Exactly what Tad said. This is not a good movie, and I don't really like it. But man, it is fun.
The Catter Puppy, I forgot.
Yep.
It's so dumb.
Catter puppy.
I mean, it's got stop motion animation in it. It's got puppets. It's what the fuck is going on with this movie?
It's like Jim Henson's Nightmare.
I know. I mean, I love. It's great seeing Jonathan Stark in it.
Yep.
It's really great to see him in a bigger role. Royal Dano is just always great in everything he does.
Oh yeah.
Lar Park Lincoln, I didn't
Lar
expect
Park,
her.
Big role there. Part of me wants to spoil Halloween-a-Palooza, but was like forced us to announce it before this episode comes out.
Kind of already.
I don't know what you're talking about. But Lar Park Lincoln, she'd be neat to meet.
Laura Park Lincoln. Hair. Is she hotter with her
Ooh,
darker
blonde
hair
or the-
here, or the blonde in Friday 7?
I think she's more attractive in this movie, to be honest.
I agree 1,000%. And I think part of it is that darker hair makes those eyes pop even more.
And I think
got
it's also
gorgeous
because
eyes.
her character is better. Like she's not mentally ill.
Yeah, she ain't all whiny like she is in 7.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that it? You done?
John
it's-
Ratzenberger from Cheers.
He's definitely a shining light. He's not in it very much, but
He
he's
steals
great.
the movie.
He's
in
great.
like 2 scenes and he steals the whole movie.
Yeah,
from
I
me.
remember him. So
Yeah, I love this movie. I mean, I feel like it's not nearly. I mean, it's definitely not nearly as good as the first film. And they, want to talk about straying from the original, because the original still, even though it is really comedic, it still plays like a horror film. This one just throws the horror element out the window, and just does everything else. I mean, you
it's
got
like
a little
fantasy.
yeah, like the creepiest thing in the whole thing is the main bad guy that you maybe get for a total of 2 or 3 minutes throughout the entire movie. And even then, it's just like, it's almost those moments, because of where he came from, has more of a Western feel to it than horror, but it is a lot of fun. And I remember watching this way back in the day, like when I first hit cable and stuff, and just being so off-put on how much it's not a sequel to the original movie House. So we just can't stress that part enough if you go and watch this movie. But it's just off the rails craziness, and it just goes to the point where I personally feel that the pacing of the movie is off because it may be too fast of pace. It's as if there's like many scenes are missing from this movie, and it's all transitional scenes to get us from point A to point C.
Yeah,
Like,
they just
B is
jump right over it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they dig up Grandpa, and then next thing you know, the house is full for a Halloween party. You know, that is jumping from. And some of it works, like the John Ratzenberg thing. You know, he just kind of shows up out of nowhere. He does his thing. He helps them on a little mini adventure, and then he leaves, and then he's gone. He's out of the rest of the picture, and it's like, why was he even there? But it works. You know, that's one of the moments where it really works in the movie, where you have like the scene where they just rescued the virgin from the sacrifice, and then the next scene is they're all sitting down having dinner together with the puppy caterpillar and the baby pterodactyl and the virgin and the two guys all sitting down and having a meal. Oh, and zombie grandpa, yeah. So it's just got such weird, off-putting pacing, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, and I mean, appreciate the advertising for Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Skull vodka in the movie. That's cool, seeing them carry that around the whole movie. But other than that, it's fun. And the effects look good. You mentioned like there's some stop motion, there's a lot of puppetry, and it all works. It works pretty well, I think. So
I don't know about that, but it's in there, and it's very interesting.
all right. Tad, what trivia do you have for this movie?
Well, I was waiting for you to ask because you had a great transition. Ethan Wiley, the director, had the crystal skull made into a doorknob for his house. Which is
Cool.
pretty fun. Royal Dano was cast despite being uninsurable due to a recent open heart surgery.
Oh, wow. Oh, my.
I would love to find this. To aid in the promotion of the movie, a number of giveaway items were sent to theaters, including Crystal Skull nightlights and Catter Puppy figurines.
Oh, I want those.
Me too. No surprise, but there's tons of direct links to Friday the 13th and New Blood, including Lar Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder. Kane was also the stunt coordinator on this. And then we also have the music, and Sean Cunningham produced this as well. Yeah. So, like I said, they just used a lot of the same music from the New Blood also. And let's see, in 1987, Marvel released a comic book version of the film that was written by Ralph Macchio, but not the same Ralph Macchio.
Oh.
Not surprising, Ethan Wiley only had 2 weeks to write the screenplay.
2 whole weeks
And
It does not
of
show.
taking acid?
speaking of our discussion on the bonus episode, if you heard it because you're an attacker, thank you. If not, sorry about your luck. This movie gets a mention in Scream 2 as being one of the best sequels ever, along with Terminator 2 and The Godfather Part 2.
Oh, nice. I don't remember that at all. I'm going to have to go back and watch Scream 2 now.
Yeah. And then the last one, which we haven't mentioned, a young Bill Maher can be seen in one of his earliest acting roles.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
He's something else in this one.
Again, pacing. Like, is he living at the house with it? He shows up, he's in a scene, and then all of a sudden he's just around all the time, hanging out with Laura Park Lincoln, who is the girlfriend to the main character of the movie. But they're hanging out without him the whole, and yeah, and they just walk into scenes and then walk out of scenes. Like, what is going on? Where are they going? Where are they coming from? All right. I suppose we should move on to the next film. And I'm excited because I'm going to introduce this one. That's right. You know it. You love it. Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Has got some weird taking too many diet pills.
Here's a chicken sandwich if you want to go.
She should have listened to her sister.
All the way.
Because when she and her band get ready to party,
Anything you want to. Go time. Oh, Slumber Party Weekend.
it's more than just a great time.
No girls really did this stuff.
It's Slumber Party Massacre 2. Now it's time for the fun part.
He's in his house somewhere.
Well, it's 9 o'clock and ready to rock. My motorcycle's out of hock. Jump on back, baby, hold on tight. We're gonna ride this rocket to the night. Don't let go. Don't let go. Hold on tight. Well, you say why? I say because less buzz.
Slumber Party Massacre 2. If you go, don't go all the way.
God, anybody got any tranks?
What a trailer.
Courtney and her friends and her band go to a condo for the weekend of band practice and partying. But Courtney can't get rid of the haunting feeling of a supernatural rockabilly driller killer coming to murder them all. Okay, so here's a little story for you. Get comfy, folks. I used to hang out with a friend of mine in high school. His name was Wayne. And there'd be some weekends where his parents would be gone, and we would hang out at his house all weekend. And he was one of the first friends that I knew that had a car. Now, we're a couple of nerds, so we wouldn't have like parties or drive around all night causing trouble. We would just go into town, rent a bunch of horror movies, buy a bunch of junk food, and we would just watch movies all night at his house. And this was one of the movies that I remembered the most from those days. And so anytime I watch it, it just brings back those feelings, especially since there's kind of a similar parallel theme to these group of teens to go to one of the parents' condos and end up having a lame-ass party. So kind of similar in that, where we would just be lame-ass kids just watching horror movies. Which, them having this like lame-ass party is 90% of this movie, followed up with Crystal Bernard having crazy delusions throughout the whole film. This movie is nuts. It's crazy. It is... They try to force the connection to the first film, but claiming that Crystal Bernard's character is the little sister survivor.
That's the one. I thought it was this one. Yeah.
Yeah, of the first film. And so, but that's just forced in with dialogue. There's like no flashbacks or anything like that really try to connect it to the first film. So it's easy to forget. I've watched it hundreds of times, and there's still a lot of times when I go to watch this movie that I forget that it does have a connection. And she's having these weird delusions of the killer, coming after her and her friends, but it's nowhere near the same killer. Like I'm fine with like a recasting or whatever, but it's not even the same character. I mean, this guy kills with a drill just like in the first film, but it's on the end of a guitar. The guy dresses and acts like Andrew Dice Clay, where in the first one, the guy was just a crazed guy in a Canadian tuxedo. And so it's just off the wall, because this is filled, obviously trying to cash in on the success of like A Nightmare on Elm Street, where they're just having these like she's having these weird daytime delusions or nightmares where like her friend grows into a giant zit and explodes and crap like that going on, or she's about ready to eat a hand sandwich. Its finger looking good. No. But so it's just so weird and off the wall and bizarre, and it just keeps going at a crazy pace throughout the whole movie that it's a lot of fun to watch. Is it a masterpiece in cinema? No. It's got a couple musical numbers in it, so you could maybe consider it a musical on top of that, with these like crazy rockabilly songs that the killer is doing. The only thing that drives me up the freaking wall about this movie is the one kid. God, what was his name? Was it TJ? Was that the one? the one guy who he's just annoying with his choice of vocal pattern and that laugh he would do every time he was like trying to prank somebody or do something stupid. I'm like, I just could not wait for that character. He did not die soon enough. I think the effects are pretty fun. Again, you get like the girl that turns into which, by the way, going back to Friday 13th pedigree here, that's Heidi Kozak Haddad, who was also in Friday 13th Part 7 New Blood. She's the one that went skinny dipping while her boyfriend got axed in the face. So there's two different lines that Brandy and I always quote from this actress, and one is from this movie. Brandy always goes, "Slumber Party Weekend," and I'm always like, "Russell, party of two, right this way, please." And she's also in Society, and she's playing the same character in all three movies. Anyway, that's what I think. What do you guys think?
I've seen this a few times. I know Joe Bob did it on the last drive-in. I have no real connection to the first movie, but this is another great example, just like House 2, of like, how did we get here?
Exactly.
But I love it because it's so fucking out there. Like, yeah, it's another, like, did you just have a 12-year-old, like, and what if the killer, he had a guitar but with a drill on it, and but he wears a leather outfit and he says funny things, and so strange, but it's fun. It's a quick little fun 80s. I mean, it's like sort of quintessential 80s stupid slasher,
Mm-hmm.
but not quintessential because, like you said, it has musical numbers. So I don't know, man. But I enjoy it. I have fun with this. This is turn your brain off, watch it, have fun. Hot chicks getting killed one by one by Andrew Dice Clay. I mean,
Yeah,
what's there not to like?
that's what it is. Well, there's a lot of things not to like. It's pretty bad. It's not for me. Definitely not for me. But I do agree that the effects are pretty fun. A lot of the kills are neat, and I mean, I like. Nope, that was it. I like the poster. It was always one that catches your eye in the video store.
Yep.
I mean, because you're like, what the fuck is that guitar?
Yeah.
I want to play that. But this movie does something that I fucking hate that Mike loves to do. Is name your characters' last names after fucking horror movie people, and I
a little on the
hate it.
nose on this one, yeah.
Hate it. Hate it. And Andrew Dice Clay was annoying, and I just. It just took forever to get there. Once it got going, it was like balls out. Everyone's dying left and right, and that was cool. But yep, I hope I never have to watch it again.
Speaking of effects, I like that one shot where the killer is holding somebody's arm. I'm forgetting who he just killed. I think it was maybe Crystal Bernard's boyfriend. It was a delusion scene too, but and he's holding this arm that is just caked with strings of latex hanging down that's just drenched in blood, and he's like trying to whip this arm, and he's kind of struggling trying to break the latex away, and it's so stringy and gooey. I've never seen anybody do that with like a severed limb in a horror movie. I thought it was awesome and hilarious and gross.
Definitely gross.
Tad, what trivia do you have for this movie?
There's some fun ones. In order to get word out about his presence on set without arousing his suspicions, the cast and crew would use the code name Jennifer when referring to executive producer Roger Corman. I'm from reading this trivia, I'm guessing Roger Corman was not the most fun to have on set. Heidi Kozak noticed that the cutoff jean shorts that she wears were getting shorter and shorter every day. She later found out that the costumer would pull threads out of them at the end of each filming day to make them shorter. After the discovery, she got herself a new pair of shorts. I had another one. I had to scroll down here, find it. That was pretty good. There's a lot of this is a top seller on VHS. One of the biggest ones. This one's pretty interesting. The Nest, also a Concorde picture, used the same condo for its scenes. As a result, the crew of this film was forced to contend with a roach problem.
Ew. Yikes.
Wasn't this also another one of the Cormans, give a director a chance, Deborah Brock's first?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a woman director.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely, anytime you bring up this franchise, that's probably going to be the first thing Roger Corman will say. Because, these movies and a lot of other Corman productions and most slashers of its time, get ridiculed for being, misogynistic and anti-woman, that kind of thing. And so Roger Corman's always quick to mention that all 3 of the original Slumber Party Massacre movies are directed by women.
Yeah, he tied their hands incredibly, but at least he gave them a chance. Right.
Yeah. All right.
There's one more that I think you might find interesting. Not that crazy, but Paul Rubens was friends with the casting director and paid a visit to the set. But he went incognito in a wig and hat, and some of the cast figured out who he was.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine if they snuck him in as a cameo?
That'd have been awesome. Just sneak him in. Yeah. Just like Robert Englund in Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Robert Englund just walking a dog down the street in one shot. Anyway, awesome. Thank you for the trivia. Jason, what's our next movie we're going to talk about?
Well, we're finally going to get out of 1987. Let's get into Back to the Future a little bit.
Back to the Future Part 2?
No, we're going to be...
I do think that's better than the original.
Really?
Not really.
No.
But I do.
But we're going to go to 2016 with 10 Cloverfield Lane.
There's been an attack. I'm not sure yet if it's chemical or nuclear.
Where are we?
Underneath my farmhouse.
Hey. Sorry about that.
What happened to your arm? Were you trying to escape?
I was trying to get in.
There's a woman. She wants me to let her in.
You can't tell her! You're going to get all the guilt!
What was that?
Quiet.
How do we get out of here?
Is that how you thank me for saving your life?
Let me go!
After surviving a car accident, Michelle, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, wakes up to find herself in an underground bunker with 2 men. Howard, played awesomely by John Goodman, tells her that a massive chemical attack has rendered the air unbreathable, and their only hope of survival is to remain inside. Despite the comforts of home, Howard's controlling and menacing nature makes Michelle want to escape. After taking matters into her own hands, the young woman finally discovers the truth about the outside world. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who went on to direct the awesome Prey sequel, Predator.
Oh,
Prey.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this movie fucking rules. And from what I had looked up about it, it's like Mike alluded to in the beginning, there's a lot of reasons for these unsequels to happen. And this one was definitely began its life not as a sequel. And once they figured out they could shoot some more scenes and shoehorn it in there, that's what they did for this one. But, yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, unbelievable. John Goodman, unbelievable. Bradley Cooper, he's so dreamy. And the dude, John Gallagher Jr. I love everything he does too. He's awesome. He's in Belko Experiment and Hush, and he does good stuff. But this movie's so awesome because it really does successfully walk the line of, is John Goodman a good guy? Is he doing the right thing? Is he actually a bad guy?
Yeah,
and you don't fucking know.
You are just, that is the suspense
Isn't
of
it
this
so
movie.
great?
I mean,
You're along for the ride.
There's a lot of like, edge of the seat moments in this movie, but the true tension in it for me is just, well, what side is John Goodman on? Is he freaking batshit crazy, or is he actually the hero? And oh yeah,
And you don't know.
You totally nail it. Yeah.
It's also a Bad Robot production, so it's produced by J.J. Abrams. You definitely get that in the quality, I think, of the production, the filming. It seems like it, and then definitely the third act. I think definitely, but man, I remember when this came out. It just blew it away. Come on,
there was though.
I know you got to have a style. But I assume it's not a first time for anybody. This is
no, not a first time.
But what'd you guys think?
I've always loved this movie since day one, and I love John Goodman.
Yeah,
I will watch John Goodman in anything, including King Ralph. And this is by far my favorite performance of his ever.
It might be, yeah.
This
for real.
It's kind of a crime he never got like any acknowledgement for the performance in this.
Yeah. Oh, it's a horror movie.
Because exactly. Because he skates that line that you were talking about so well. It's all in his performance, and whether or not you just don't know. And then, just seeing the guy that you used to seeing being the goofball dad on the Roseanne show, or the Connors, or whatever they want to call it nowadays. and then doing something darker like this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And me too. I just love those isolated, small cast little movies like that.
Absolutely. Tad.
I love this movie too. I was when it came up on the list, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the shelf. I know I have this, and if I don't, I'm gonna remedy that. And of course, I own it on Blu-ray. I mean, this is like, I love that we have this weird world that is purposely sequels that aren't sequels. The Cloverfield universe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like having two big names. Well, I guess if you count Bradley Cooper, 3 really big names in this, is really cool for like, and they did a great job of sort of making this a secret Cloverfield sequel. Mm-hmm. They did like hush hush marketing, and it sort of went under the radar. I love that kind of stuff. We don't really get that anymore now. They even did that one. It wasn't this one, but one of the Cloverfield movies just dropped on Netflix like right after the Super Bowl. It's very much that old style of like sort of crazy marketing. I don't know. I'm all about it. But this movie lives up to the hype. It could stand on its own, but it's also, I love that they're connected in a weird way of this monster verse. But to me, this is the best one. It's in just great performances. Very
I love Paradox a lot, but this one's so good.
Very isolated, very claustrophobic. It's a big mystery. It's almost Hitchcockian.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
It just makes me think of that, where it's like he leads us on this ride of is he crazy? Are we crazy? Is she crazy? Who's crazy? Is this really happening outside? And then it just goes, when she gets out of the room, spoiler, it's almost a second movie, and it's really fast, but it's like, holy shit, he was not a good guy, but also he was being honest about something happening out here. So yeah, it's wild, and I love it, and
suspense filled.
Anytime we can, find a reason to rewatch this, I'm all about it. So,
do you guys think that tacking on Cloverfield onto the title and making it part of this, knowingly making it part of this franchise, kind of takes away from that crazy third act ending? I mean, I'm trying to remember first time watching it, and it's hard for me to remember the first time. But I thought I knew it was supposed to be going into it, because more than likely I came into it later than everybody else. And so, there's that lingering feeling the whole time is like, where's the connection? What's the connection? And I don't know. I just think like, if no one had ever said anything about it being connected, that third act just would have been a punch in the face. Awesome.
Oh, you're saying it gave it it spoiled it a
Maybe
little bit?
a little. Maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm asking, though. What do you guys think?
I don't know. You have to have that to sell it,
True. It's kind of a lose-lose situation, right?
Right. Yeah. But I also, the whole time you're wondering what's the connection. Where does this name come from? What's the deal?
It's a good question for all of the unsequels. Is the movie better if it was its own thing? So House 2,
Yeah.
would it be a stronger movie without being tied to not actually being tied?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? And if you would have asked 16-year-old me that loved the first movie and then turned around and saw House 2, I would have said that, the movie was hurt by calling it House 2. So, but, I don't know. It's definitely because there are sequels out there, many, many sequels that aren't connected to the original. Case in point, like movies in the like Prom Night franchise, for example, that was a script for something else, and then it's Hellraiser again, perfect example in later films in that franchise of taking a script and then tacking on that title to connect it just to try to sell it.
You know that I tried so hard to get us to make Demonic a Night of the Demons sequel.
Yeah.
I was trying.
Night of Demons 4, yeah.
I was really trying.
We could just be like Dustin Ferguson, the filmmaker Dustin Ferguson, and just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, because that's what he does. He's done so many sequels to movies that he should not legally be able to call sequels.
I mean, I think you guys should have just called it the Amityville skating rink.
Could have gotten away with it too.
That one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang it.
Foreign market. There
I was going to say, if we ever get a foreign market distribution, we've had worse titles in foreign markets for a film of ours. So, yeah. Such a good film. So great. And I think, like, back to my earlier question, I'll pose this, that, again, kudos to John Goodman, because he's the one that keeps us from thinking about the alien aspect too much. Again, it's just like everything relies on him and his performance in this. So that's how it worked. Because
they got him.
Because they got him and what he did. So, yeah. Tad, what trivia do we have for 10 Cloverfield Lane?
This one has like pages and pages.
I bet.
But there's some really cool stuff. I thought this was really fantastic. They shot tonally different, not totally different versions of most scenes, from light and humorous to angry and mad, so they could find the right mix as a whole. So they shot up several different versions, and the editor sort of mixed in, so we would have that. Is he, like John Goodman, there's scenes where you almost like him, and there's scenes where you are terrified of him, and I think doing that, shooting the scenes in different ways and mixing them together sort of keeps us on our edge of our seat. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Co-producer Ben Rosenblatt is the one who suggested the mailbox at the end reveals the street name as Cloverfield. It was a joke, said Dan Trachtenberg, and we all laughed and then paused and said, wait a second, we can do this.
That's how it works half the time. Just a joke.
I just have this one for Mike. This is not John Goodman's only film featuring a bunker. He also starred in Matinee, another film in which people take to a bunker under questionable, though more humorous circumstances. I mean, there's just so much to go through here. I won't do too much more, but I want to find another good one. Let's see. I've been scrolling through them, and there's all kinds of little things. I think this is sort of cool. All the visual effects were done in-house by Kelvin Optics at Bad Robot Studios. So Abrams' studio, like, they did all that stuff in-house, didn't hire it out.
Cool.
And it still looks really fucking good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then one last one. It was filmed in chronological order.
Oh, nice. Wow. I can always appreciate that.
That just doesn't happen.
No.
I mean, it can in one location, probably. But
yeah.
With such a small cast, but
that would be a lot. Like, I can imagine, like, that would
fun.
be fun to do with John Goodman in that role.
Yeah.
Like, being a director, just like, he's probably having the fucking time of his life shooting this. Yeah.
You know what? Kudos to John Goodman too, of the stuff he's done over the years, right? Like, he's done anything and everything on all spectrums. Like, he'll do a Coen Brothers movie, or he'll do, or he'll do a smaller film like this that's completely out of his wheelhouse, or, I don't know, The Babe. He's one of the leads in The Righteous Gemstones I was talking about earlier.
He's one of the best we got.
He is.
For real.
He's one of those that's on the old bucket list of people I'd like to meet.
Oh, man.
Probably it won't ever happen, but
yeah, he's one of those guys that just, like, can do. He sort of flies under the radar, but, like, one of the most respected when he is in things. It's weird because you can do, like, an ABC or whatever, NBC, I think it's ABC show. I remember as a kid, remember him from Roseanne, and then, like, you see him in other shit, and you're like, oh, he's, like, light years above everybody else on the show.
Yeah.
But he also is never above anybody. Like, he always, you know what I mean? Like, like you were sort of saying, he will take a weird sci-fi movie, a comedy, an indie, and he just raises the stakes of everything by being in it. So
he's in a Kevin Smith movie, for crying out loud, even, right? I forgot about Red State there for a second.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So good.
Yeah. All right, so that is it for the film discussions for this episode. But fear not, true believers. There's still more Attack of the Killer podcast to come. I went a little Stan Lee there for a second.
Heard that.
We're going to take a quick short break to hear a promo of our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The Prescribed Films Podcast Network is home to over 30 shows, including Podcast from the Crypt. We have a new drinking game every time I say the word podcast. Hosted by horror fanatics Chainsaw Paul and permanent guest host Wolfman Memo, two guys who love all aspects of the horror genre. Join them as they share their thoughts and opinions on new and classic horror movies, video games, ghost stories, and all things horror. Check out Take a Drink Podcast from the Crypt and all the other amazing shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show, and now we want to hear from you guys, the listeners. Here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, we asked, what are your favorite horror sequels that aren't really sequels? And a lot of you chimed in. It's pretty great. Up first, we got attacker Andrew Moeller. Oh, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. It's so not a sequel.
No.
There isn't even a first one. It's the most unsequel.
Great
Such
answer.
A good movie. Good job.
Yeah,
Andrew.
great movie too, yeah.
Up next, we got Chris Gibson, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Kind of one of the biggies.
Knew that one would pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
We got Brian Clark. Get ready for some things you've never heard of. Here we go. We got, once again, he says, Alien 2, Sola Terra.
Yes.
Shocking Dark, and just about every other flick Bruno Mattei ever did.
Yeah, we should have taken Italian films out of this equation.
Zombie 2, Night of the Seagulls. He also added. Hey, we got Terry Turford. She jumps in, says Troll 2.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. There are not even trolls in that movie.
And then Brian's back. He says, for that matter, any of the handful of movies occasionally sold as Troll 3, one of which was in reality a fourth Ator the Fighting Eagle movie.
Really? Interesting.
Huh.
Awesome.
All right. That was on our Facebook page. Over in our group, the group edition, we got brand new attacker Emily. She says, I'm going to get some flack for this one, but I was
I know what she's going to say.
into
God
Blair
damn it.
Witch 2, Book of Shadows when I was in high school. Heck yes.
Hell yeah. I don't
So
care
good.
what you say. That movie's awesome.
You know what? Attacker Brett says, don't listen to the haters like Ted. Book of Shadows is way underrated. Hell yeah, Brett. You tell him.
Yeah.
Then we got Jacob McLaughlin. He says, the Yokai Monster and Daimagen sequels all work as standalone movies. Same with Romero's Dawn and Day of the Dead. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is my favorite movie in the series.
Wow.
It's easy to be, right? Tim Lennerer says, in addition to Halloween 3 and George Romero's Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, already mentioned by Jacob because he knows what time it is, how about Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
That's a good pick.
It assumes the existence of the first 6 movies as movies, but the narrative is its own thing unrelated to the fictitious characters in the first 6 movies. What a great movie. Tim comes back and he says, also, way back in episode 126, you guys went into detail about the La Casa movies.
Here we go, yeah.
Which were unrelated American movies made into a series when released in Italy. How far have they gone since that last update? Has the Cabin in the Woods become La Casa Part whatever Italian is for 11?
It should.
And then we got Nick Leadham. He says, Troll 2 and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Those are good picks.
Yeah.
Also, The Beyond. And In the Mouth of Madness, if those count. If those count.
Are we talking like the fact that like The Beyond and House by the Cemetery and Said Living Dead is considered Fulci's
Suppose.
I forget what they call that trilogy. The Gates of Hell trilogy.
Yeah.
Or what was the other movie he mentioned?
In the Mouth of Madness.
Would people consider John Carpenter's apocalyptic trilogy, The Thing?
Right.
Or the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, you got the Cornetto trilogy with Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and
World's End.
At World's End, yeah. Okay, I'll take it.
He counts it, folks. And then lastly, over on the Instagram, Attack of the Killer Podcast, we got Old School Video _Inc., the Reapster. He says Halloween 3 is a bit too obvious. Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2 is the queen of this category.
Hell yeah, and also, pulling back the curtain for you attackers out there, I forgot to include that one on the bonus episode because I love...
Too late.
Okay, fine.
But you love it?
I do love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's way better than the original.
That's true.
And is not connected at all.
But the Reapster says, but special mention to Sorority House Massacre 2, which really isn't a sequel to Part 1, but more a sequel to Slumber Party Massacre.
True.
Sorority's more of a sequel than Slumber. How crazy is that?
You following that?
Yep, and the math checks out. All right, that's what we got. Don't forget. Oh, what? Wait, what's that? What's that over there, Mike?
That's the answer machine again. I thought you unplugged that.
I thought I did too.
All right, well, here, I'll push the button.
Hey, everybody, Attacker Brian here for my bi-weekly phone call, and it sounds like this episode, the podcast crew is talking horror sequels that aren't really sequels. And there's no wrong answers, but there is one right answer. But a couple of answers before I get to the right answer. Night of the Dead 2 is a sequel to the first one. I guess but it's actually just the first movie with more fucking money. That's all they did. They made another movie, and they had more money to make it. So they made the same movie with more money. And then there's Slumber Party Massacre, which was the picture on the question, but nobody picked it. I mean, I guess it is part 2, but it's about this crazy guy that's got a guitar with a drill on it and just goes around killing people for no reason. I don't know. Maybe because the music's so fucking bad nobody wants to listen to it. I don't know. The right answer,
Buzz.
Return of the Living Dead. It is a sequel to the original. They do talk about the Reds on it, and it's my favorite horror movie. It's a fucking blast. It's got Linnea Quigley in it. What more do you want? Zombies, great soundtrack. I love that movie. Got a whole damn room that's full of posters. Anyways, enjoy some horror sequels, and take care. Bye-bye.
How do you feel about that, Mike?
Which part?
The Return being, it's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, there's so many movies that people connect to the original Night. I mean, then there is the connection. It does pull kind of a new Nightmare, claiming that Night of the Living Dead is a movie within the Return universe. So it's fine. It's fine because Return of the Living Dead is awesome, and I would accept it as a sequel. And it kind of falls in that thing where like there was an agreement between George and John Russo, the co-writers of Night of the Living Dead, that they kind of went their separate ways, and there was a legal agreement stating that they can each make their own dead movies, but George can't use the words Living Dead in his titles, but Russo could, and Russo's his version of official sequel is the novel Return of the Living Dead, which by the time we got to the movie, it was basically just in name only and had no connection really to Russo's book. So I guess it counts. Sort of.
Well, thank you there, Godzilla, for your leaving your voicemail. You know what I think's awesome, Mike, is that our acting is so good, people think we actually have an answering machine here. I thought our little pre-skit was pretty good.
It was good. Why'd you give it away?
I'm just kidding. It's now, but unplug it this time for real.
Like we have a landline or something. Like who has one of those?
So if you want to be cool like Godzilla, you can leave us your voicemail. Just give us a call at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail. Get your voice on the show. Let us hear from you. And that is shout-outs. But one more segment to go. Here we are with Insane's Picks.
That's right, folks. It's time for Insane's Picks. Most people know by now that I am a pretty big Herschel Gordon Lewis fan. I mostly talk about his gore films, but since we are covering the weird and bizarre cult films and trash cinema outside of the horror genre for Insane's Picks right now, I am going to cover a picture I have never covered on Insane's Picks before, and that is Scum of the Earth from 1963. This black and white exploitation film is about a naive and innocent teenage girl, Kim Sherwood, who gets blackmailed into modeling in the nude for sleazy photographers. But their boss illegally sells photos of teenage girls being abused and degraded. Scum of the Earth stars Louise Down as Kim, the innocent college girl. She was a regular in many of Herschel Gordon Lewis's movies, such as Nature's Playmates, Boing, Blood. You have to say it that way because it's spelled B-O-I-N hyphen N hyphen G.
It wasn't just commentary. That's the name of okay.
Yes. Or how about this title? Goldilocks and the Three Bears, spelled B-A-R-E-S.
Oh, boy.
There's also Belle, Bear, and Beautiful, and Suburban Roulette. And she was also a writer for some of Lewis's films, such as Gruesome Twosome, She Devils on Wheels, and Just for the Hell of It, to name a few. She also worked frequently with Doris Wishman, appearing in such films as Diary of a Nudist, Blaze Star goes nudist, and gentlemen prefer nature girls. You can probably see where we're going with her career here. Lewis's performance as the sweet and innocent girl is so over the top. It is highly cartoony and very entertaining. It's one of my favorite things about this film is her trying to be such the innocent, naive college girl. The film also features one of my favorite Herschel Gordon Lewis regulars, Mal Arnold, aka Fuad Ramsey from the movie Blood Feast. Scum of the Earth was written and directed by Herschel Gordon Lewis and produced by David F. Friedman. Herschel and Friedman got their start together making nudie cuties. However, by the time they made Scum of the Earth, the nudie cutie subgenre had already started getting old. Scum of the Earth is considered in the roughy genre. Now, roughies were more of aggressive, lurid subgenre of classic sexploitation cinema. These films injected violence and sadism into the standard, rather innocent, softcore mix of the nudie cuties. They featured stories dealing with S&M, kidnappings, and sexual abuse. Now, however, this is 1963. This movie is pretty tame in comparison to that description I just gave you, being way more suggestive about the violence going on than anything else. With all of the violence and nasty stuff going on off camera, Scum of the Earth is more likely considered to be one of the first roughies, if not the first. It was shot in 6 days right after Lewis and Friedman's other new experiment in exploitation genre filmmaking, and that is Blood Feast, the very first gore/horror flick. Scum of the Earth may not be for every lover of bad cinema, but with the over-the-top performances, being shot in black and white, and the ridiculous storyline, it plays way more like one of those old cautionary films from the early propaganda film days, such as movies like Reefer Madness. So if that is kind of more of your speed, you would definitely have an appreciation for this film. And also, if you are a Herschel Gordon Lewis completist like me, I highly recommend checking out Scum of the Earth.
Awesome. You love Scum.
I do. That is it for this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening. And if you want more Attack of the Killer Podcast in your life, just hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our TikTok. And if that's not enough for you, become a supporter of the show by going to jointheattackers.com. Thanks, everybody, so much for listening, and we will talk to you all on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Bye-bye.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 It's the end of the show. Bye. See you next time.